Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm Lou Beccaria and thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to view the show. We have the honor today of actually doing a show that's very, very important, especially for older citizens in our community. It's a show on preventing falls, and with us to discuss this very important topic is Steve Rakoczy, who is a principal, Chief Operating Officer with Liberty In-Home Care. I think you'll find that there's much to be learned about tips on how to prevent falls. And Steve, thanks for being with us and thanks for sharing your knowledge and as a community service.
Lou, thanks for having me.
Well, first tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get into this line of work?
Well, my wife's an occupational therapist and she's been involved in in-home care for around 24 years. I joined her about a year ago after a career with companies like Icon and Unisource and GE, and started putting together a class for some of our caregivers. We do in-home care for seniors and disabled adults. And it's really important to us that our people are trained and can always take care of the needs of our clients. And falling is a big issue with seniors. So when I started putting this class together for our caregivers, I started realizing it's really something that everyone needed to know about. Mm-hmm. And I actually got involved in fall prevention and recovery, and right now I'm authorized by the state to teach it for continuing education credits for social workers, who are the people that usually discharge you from hospitals. I do this for local church groups and senior centers and other places like that.
One would never think that preventing falls would be such a specialty in our community, and also having the rules and regulations around it. And your wife has been in this for a while?
Yeah, she's been in this 24 years. You know, the funny thing about falls, Lou, is it's the number 5 leading cause of death among seniors.
Is that right?
And falls are more prevalent than strokes, and they can be just as serious as their consequences, but everyone's worried about a stroke, mm-hmm. and there's very little you can do to prevent it, but you don't hear people talking about falls. There's a lot we can do to help prevent falls.
What is the impact of falling on seniors? I mean, you know, we hear that seniors fall, but what is the impact on their quality of life, for example?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Maybe I can talk a little bit about, you know, as you age, what happens. Mm-hmm. Your risk of falling, if you take a look at this chart, in your early years, you don't have a lot of risk of falling. This is fall injuries per 100,000 people. If you notice, when you start in your 50s, the graph starts going up. And when you take a look here in your 80s, it's very high. Now, there's also another chart like this on chart deaths. This one, if you take a look, women have a higher chance of getting injured from a fall. Men actually have a higher chance of dying from a fall than women do. And my wife says it's because guys do dumb things, like standing on instead of using a step ladder, standing on a folding chair and things like that. But a lot of it has to do with the larger mass, and they're falling more hard, or they're doing things that are more active, like on a step ladder, where women tend to get more injured because of osteoporosis and things like that.
Yeah. Excuse me, Steve, before you leave that chart, why does the chart go up like that? Why is there a greater propensity when you start hitting, looks like 45 to 54, things really start to go up quite a bit? What is it about, is it something in our brain that's changing, in our bodies, or what is it?
Well, as we age, our entire makeup changes. And one of the things you think about as you age, you have more medical conditions. If you're over the age of 65, you have a 40% chance of falling each year. If you have no medical conditions at all, if you're in perfect health, you still have a 10% chance. It's just because you've aged, you're walking differently than you used to walk, you're not seeing as well, so you can bump into things more easily. If you have 4 medical conditions, your risk of falling increases to 80%.
4 medical conditions?
4 medical conditions.
Could that be like any medical condition?
Any medical conditions. It increases to 80%. And if you think about this, half the people that fall can't get up on their own.
Something psychological going on, or is there something physiological going on that would start that increase of falls, say around the age of 45 to 54 going up?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things going on. As we age, our body changes. Our brains change, the way we react to things change. And what's interesting, if you're over 65, you have a 40% chance of falling each year. And if you have no medical conditions at all, you still have a 10% chance. So if you're in perfect health, just because you're aging and the way your walking's changing, the way your brain is working is changing, you have a 10% chance. If you have 4 or more medical conditions, and those can be anything like diabetes or medications you're on for take care of high blood pressure, any medical conditions at all, it increases to 80%.
Wow. Now, has research determined like why that's the case? I mean, that's very fascinating. Why medications would have an effect on that, well, or if you have diabetes or heart condition.
Well, you know, one of the things I can talk about are the major causes of falls. Mm-hmm. And if you take a look of the major causes, the first one is just accidental. And that has nothing to do with what you're describing. It's just, you know what, your environment's not where it should be. You have a step that's cracked or something like that, you're falling. That accounts for 31% of the reasons people fall. The next, if you take a look at it, is gait and balance and stability. And that's what we start talking about. Well, what's medical? What happens is as you age, you get more foot pain. In fact, 75% of older adults suffer from foot pain. If you don't address foot pain, it changes how you walk. When you change how you walk, your body's been used to walking one way for 50 years, you now start walking a different way, you're off balance, you can fall more. And if you think about that, we can do things. We can do things, fix foot pain. So 48% of the reasons people fall, we can address. The next thing you take a look at is dizziness and vertigo. And a lot of that's caused by the medications you're on because you can have a reaction to it. And we can do things by working with your doctors to change that. So that's another 16%. So if you think about the 64% of the reasons people fall as they age are things we can address, and we can talk about that in a little bit. The other thing are a drop attack seizure, which is similar to epilepsy. Not a lot we can do about that. Cognitive impairments, not a lot we can do about that as you age. But visual impairment, you look at that and go, it's only 3%. You think that'd be a higher number. Well, really, when you have visual impairment, the reason you fall are really the accidental reasons, because things are in your way. It's not because of your visual impairment. So if you take a look, those are the major things that are changing as you age, and you're more susceptible to it.
Yeah. Does one's mental capability have an effect on these numbers, Steve? And what I mean by that, someone who may be mentally retarded, okay, or someone who maybe have developmental disabilities, or someone who has had a brain injury, would that increase those numbers considerably?
It could increase those numbers considerably, but again, if you take a look at what we talked about, 64% of the reasons were things that we can change, factors that we can go after and attack to help reduce it. Because it's really scary when you think about falls, Lou. 50% of the people that fall can't get up on their own. 25% of them can't live independently again. So you can fall and not be able to live independently again. In fact, 90% of all hip fractures are caused by falls.
Right.
If you have a hip fracture, you have a 40% chance of not being able to live independently again, and a 25% chance of dying within 1 year.
Wow.
So, I mean, the numbers are really scary when you think about it.
Yeah, I have a 91-year-old mother who has had a series of falls, actually, and what you've described is pretty accurate. Seniors, does there come a point in time when all of a sudden you kind of feel, it's one of those little dark, quiet moments where you've said, I'm getting older. I better hold on to the rail going up and down the steps. Do you find people doing that? I find myself doing that. It's that I'm getting older now. I should hold on to the rail going up and down the steps. Is that pretty common?
That's very common, and it's actually the right thing to do. You need to be aware of your body as you age. And as you age, you need to think about, what can I do to prevent my risk of falling? One of the things we do with our company, if someone goes to our website, we actually have a home safety checklist. It's 5 pages long, and there's nothing on it that's rocket science that you're going to go, wow, Steve, that's really inventive, I'm glad you, but 5 pages worth of checklist, you're not going to think up on your own. So we put together in one space, you can go to our website, download it, and actually go through and do a home safety checklist like you're talking about. Do I have rails on both sides of the steps even? And things like that, and if I can go into more detail on some of those things.
Sure. You want to go into more detail?
One of the things, and this is funny, funny is the wrong word for this, but a lot of people try and save money by using smaller light bulbs, 25-watt light bulbs. As you age, and we talk about physiology again, you need more light to be able to see the same way you could before. Seniors should have a 60-watt light bulb every place they have light, at least. I recommend 100. And if you're concerned about, am I using too much electricity, you can use these compact fluorescents. This is one that puts out 60 watts. Not that hard, not that expensive. The other thing I tell people about is taking a yardstick and doing what we call the yardstick test. You hold it like this and you walk through your house. If you hit anything with the yardstick, you have too much clutter and you need to rearrange your house. Again, it doesn't cost you a cent to do that, but it's very simple to do. Ensure all your stairs have rails. You brought that up, I recommend people have it on both sides, so you can grab both sides as you're going up and down. Don't use unstable chairs or legs or things like, a lot of pedestal tables like we're on right here are horrible for seniors, because if you fall and grab on it, it'll flip over on you. You want to have 4-leg chairs. Other thing is bathrooms. Most falls occur in bathrooms. Why is that? Well, you have a slippery surface. A lot of people are concerned about the stock market. Do I invest in gold? Do I invest in what? I tell people invest in stainless steel. You should have grab bars every place you can in your bathroom. A towel rack is not a grab bar. And a lot of people think it is. Those little towel racks on the outside of your showers, they're not grab bars. You should have a grab bar going into your shower, a grab bar coming out of your shower. If you're concerned about showering, get a shower seat. They're only like $20, $25. They're not that expensive. You can use a handheld shower. If you have mats, a lot of people like to put the little mats in their bathroom, which are great, but when they're too small, what happens? You're on a firm surface and a slippery surface. One leg will go out from the other, so you have to be very cautious about that. The other thing are shoes. And the interesting thing about shoes is, as we age, our feet widen. Women are used to wearing high heel shoes and they're used to wearing a specific size. But as they age, their feet widen. High heels are horrible for two reasons. One, you have the foot on an incline. The fronts are slippery. But a lot of women don't want to give them up. In fact, I've done this at a church once, and a lady said, you know what? These shoes that are sensible just don't look that good. And I told her it looks a lot better than wearing a cast on your arm and your leg. So you need to take a look at the shoes. Some women need to shop in the men's shoe department so they can get the wider soles. Don't be embarrassed about the width of your feet. It's a natural part of aging. Other thing is medications. You know, we talk about 16% of the reasons people fall because of dizziness or vertigo. A lot of that can be because they're on too many different medications. We had one of our customers, one of the things we always do is do a medication check for any new customer we bring on board. She was on 20 different medications.
Wow.
And it wasn't because she had bad doctors, but she had been to 5 specialists over the last year. Each one prescribed 2 or 3 drugs, and they were trying to treat the ailment she went to them for. And she had never gone to anyone and said, listen, I'm on all these. And what we tell people is do a brown bag test. Take all your medications, put them in a brown paper bag, take them to your doctor or your pharmacist and go, here's everything I'm on. When we contacted her doctor, she went and met with him. He reduced it down to 8 medications.
Wow.
And again, it's not because any doctor was incompetent or doing the wrong thing. They were all doing absolutely the right thing for what they were treating, but no one looked at it overall. And managing medications is your responsibility. It's no one else's.
Now, is that something that your company would do? Do you recommend, that would be one of the things you would recommend. But
yeah, we would recommend. We would take a look at what we always do is keep a chart of what medications our clients are on. And since we have nurses on staff also, and my wife's an occupational therapist, she knows, looking, go, well, I'm a little concerned, go see your doctor. But we tell anyone, anytime they get a new medication, check with their doctor and pharmacist.
Yeah.
And again, the specialists are specialists. They're focusing on one thing. You need to talk to your family practitioner to make sure he's taking a look at everything or she's that you're on.
Before we take a break for a commercial, tell us just, let's switch just for a second and talk a little bit about your company.
Okay.
Do you just do kind of this consulting work to help people understand about falls, or do you actually provide in-home care on a 24-hour-a-day basis? And so forth?
We actually, this is something we do for free. This is the fall discussions are our community outreach program. Our company, we have in-home care specialists. We can bring someone in someone's home for 4 hours a day or around the clock, depending on what they need. We can do anything from helping them prepare meals, light housekeeping, to helping them groom themselves, use the bathroom, get showers. So we're actually a full service. We're one of the very few companies that are licensed. Pennsylvania does not require licensure to be a home health company. We're actually a licensed home health company.
Wow. Okay. We're going to take a break so we can pay the bills.
Great.
Hear from our sponsor. Please stay with us, and when we come back, we'll hear more from Steve Rakoczy about falls and how to prevent them. Please stay with us.